Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. This is Kim and my channel is Kim Can't Stop Crafting, and thanks for joining me today. It's a little bit different video. I'm sure some of you have experienced this. I'm kind of going through a slump. I don't really have the ambition and the motivation that I normally do, and so today I decided just get down into your craft room and just start creating. So I really don't have a whole lot in mind as to what I'm going to do. It'll just kind of be off the top of my head, and it's going to be easy because I want it to be short and sweet and make it quickly. This paper makes me happy, so I'm choosing this as the paper I'll use, Sweet Southern Mess, and it's going to be some sort of book that holds recipes. But if I were you, I would watch the whole video all the way through if you choose to make it, and then go back and make it, because who knows, I could be making a lot of mistakes and changes. It might be just one of those videos. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with the cover. I think a lot of you are familiar with how we make covers at Country Craft Creations, and I'm just going to, like I said, a small book so that I have instant gratification. My book is going to be 5 by 7 with a 2.5 inch spine, and it's going to be 5 tall and 7 long, because I figure most of the recipe cards I have are 4 by 6, and so it'll fit on there just fine. So I already have adhesive on the back of my chipboard. I have some old stuff that I'm trying to get rid of, and I thought this would be a great opportunity to do that. So as I cover my pieces individually, I do use the spacers from Country Craft Creations. If you have not looked into these, you are missing out because they are awesome. I think I'll leave this in. And so we do it individually, like I said. And I'm going to place a 1-inch spacer at the top and a 1-inch spacer on the side. So whenever you wrap your chipboard on the base, the front and the back, you always go 1 inch longer on each side. So if it's 5 by 7, you'll need 7 by 9. Your spine, you do leave, instead of a 1-inch gap on it, or a 1-inch space on each side, you do 1.5. So you will need 5.5 by 7. Now I will tell you, I did not want to waste my paper, so this is actually 5 by 7 instead of 5.5, but there won't be a problem with that. So the first thing I'm going to do is just lay down my paper underneath my spacer so that I have that 1-inch border, and I'm going to remove the backing. Now this could be a challenge because this, like I said, this is old, and I have no idea if it will come off well or if it's going to be hard to work with. See, I prefer score sheets big time, but don't want things to go to waste. This could be a issue. Oh, there, we got it started. Okay. Yeah, see, this is like bubbly. This is yucky stuff. Don't use this ever. Ugh, awful. That is really bad. I hope it's, this is not good. So we're not off to a great start. Let me just kind of fill this in because some of the adhesive lifted. And now I know why I don't use that stuff. Okay, where's my pick? Oh my gosh, that stuff is terrible. All right, come on. All right, let's hope this stays down. So you're just going to butt it up against the 2 spacers. And you're going to want to burnish that, and I'm going to really want to burnish because it's not good quality adhesive. Let's see if I have better luck getting the next one off. Okay, let's try another one. Now this one might be harder to get off because I overlapped it accidentally right here. Maybe if I just really... All right, here we go. Be nice and play nice. It just, ugh, junk. All right, so what if I just try and peel it real low? I'm having better luck, kind of. Okay, and now I gotta get this little piece off. You can fast forward this part, you know, if you know how to cover the album. Oh, get off there. All right, here we go. That wasn't too bad. That one was better. Spacers. Let's go ahead and burnish real well. Okay, and now this piece, remember we normally do a 1.5 inch wing or side, so usually I would use this. Let me see how that's gonna, because I did mine, I'll just kind of eyeball this one, so I'll just use my 1 inch. You would do 1.5. Like I said, mine is a little bit, it's a 1/2 inch shorter, so that's why. Look at this. Ugh. Yeah, I am having a heck of a time with this backing. And I can't use my nails like I used to because they're thick nails and they don't want to play nice. All right. I'm just gonna keep it low. I think that does help with this junky stuff. All right, done with that stuff. So like I said, I'm just gonna kind of center it like so. And I will put these back. Look at how nice that is. My friend Fauna made that for me. Okay. Got to clean up as I go, otherwise it drives me nuts. Growing up, my mom always used to say, a clean cook is a happy cook, so she would make us clean up as we went, which my husband doesn't, and it drives me nuts. Okay, let's get back on track here. All right, so I do, some people do their corners by cutting out squares. I don't do that. I still miter at an angle, so I'm just going to go ahead and start training my paper to fold the way I want it to. So you just lift it up and over that piece of chipboard so that there's a tight fit. Okay. I think I'll go ahead and put my tape around the perimeter of the chipboard, and I'm going to put it around the edge of the paper for the wrap. Now I don't have to go all the way to the edge with my tape because I'm going to miter the corners, so it doesn't have to go all the way to the edge. It'll just get cut off anyway. All right. Always burnish tape, always, always. Now I have a handy dandy tool. If you don't, you just want to make sure you angle it so that you have a little bit of space at the corner. You don't want your paper to go right to the corner unless you're cutting out the squares. Then you can go right to the corner. I cannot. Okay, and just swipe at an angle. So see how much space I've left. It's about 1/8 of an inch maybe. I don't know why the squares, I guess I like the look of the angle, even though you don't really see it, which is kind of silly, but some of us are creatures of habit with some things. All right, so now using your glue, now this stuff is awesome. I'm going to work with one side at a time, so I'm going to take the backing off of my adhesive. Now with that, I am going to take the sides off also so that I can lift this up and over without getting it on the backing of that tape. So I'll take the sides off on the chipboard too. So what I'm going to do, and I haven't used my glue in a while, so I hope it's not clogged, I'm going to run a bead of glue up against the chipboard so that gets the paper to adhere real well, and you have a nice smooth edge. And it's okay to let it sit just for a second so that it kind of loosens those fibers and lets it wrap around easily. Take the backing off of this one. I do also fill in the middle with some glue. It's important to spend the extra time on your cover so that it's nice and neat. That's the first thing people see, and you want it to be really, I like a really sharp looking cover. So burnish that down. If you have any excess glue, wipe it up. Run your burnishing tool on the edge. And then I work on the opposite side next. I'm going to go ahead and put that glue right here so it can start to soften the paper. There we go. I think I need some new glue. I do like this size bottle though. I like the bigger bottle. Up and over, smooth it. You don't want any ripples. Burnish always. And do your edge. So now, because I cut mine at an angle, I need to make sure that I get this to, there's a little piece that we need to tuck in around the edge of that chipboard. So I just take one of my other burnishing tools and just kind of lay it down flat. Might as well fill this in now. And I just kind of put my nails on it to make sure it doesn't come up when I fold it over. Oh, what a sharp looking corner. That makes me happy. I used to be intimidated by covers. Now it's my favorite part. So look at those corners, how nice they are. Can you see that? Oh, perfection. Well, maybe not perfect, but it makes me happy. Okay, push that down. Put your glue on, and you're going to do the other cover exactly the same. I'm just going to do one on camera so I don't bore you. You do the spine a little bit differently if you're not familiar with it, so I'll do that next. All right, push down on those corners so they don't come up. And the edge. So that is a nice smooth cover nice angled corners. Okay, so like I said, I'll do the other one off camera. So let's go ahead and take a look at the spine piece, which you do a little bit differently. So I am going to go ahead and bring it up and over just like I did the other one on all four sides. Okay, so Tammy does hers differently now. There's something wrong with me that I cannot do it the way she does it. I can't get the chipboard to cover correctly. She never has a problem. She's a pro. I, on the other hand, am not. So as far as putting down your score tape, I just put some on the top and the bottom of the chipboard. You won't need it on the sides. So there, where you did your folding, you have a square or rectangle. We're going to cut it at a diagonal on all four corners. Like so. And do that to all four. All right, so now I'm going to bring this up and over and glue it down. Make sure you get glue on the whole thing. This is a trapezoid when it's folded over. So you can see this is a trapezoid. Put glue on the whole thing. I've seen people just put glue in the center. You don't want to do that. You want to put glue on all of it. So remove the backing. I'm going to put glue up against the chipboard. And then first, I don't know why, but I don't necessarily use score tape all the time on these ends. I do on the front and back cover, but I don't know. All right, so now you bring it up and over, and you want to make sure you burnish it real well. So I just kind of bring my burnishing tool up against the chipboard and then bring it out. Might get a little bit of excess glue come out, and that's not a problem. And then again, the edge. Okay, I'm going to give that a chance to dry. I'll do the other end the same way. Remember, you don't wrap the sides, so if you're working ahead and you haven't done this before, do not wrap the long sides for this one. Up and over, and I tuck it around the chipboard. All right, so now what we do is we're going to angle just slightly so that when the front and back cover are on it, it doesn't show, it doesn't come up above the front and back cover. Like if you don't trim this a little bit, it might look a little bit messy. So you rest your scissors on your chipboard and just cut a slight angle. Now on this piece, you're going to have to, on this side, you turn it over and do the same thing. Okay, so not taking a whole lot off, all four sides. Oh, that's not straight. Okay. Now, the spine you want to kind of fold the other direction also, because your book will be opening and closing. So I'm going to go ahead and now take some time to burnish this with the raw side down. I'm going to just burnish that paper right up against the chipboard so that my front and back cover can lay nicely on it. So you can see a real defined edge. Ugh. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere one page. Oops. And it's going to go on top like so. So let me prepare one side. Let's see. I always do that. It goes to the inside. Yep. Okay. So turn it back so that the raw side is down. Now I'm going to use both glue and score tape, and I'm not getting it all the way to the chipboard, but I'm getting it close. And then I'm going to put one down here at the other end. I'm going to put one in the middle, and then I just kind of fill in with my art glitter glue. I'm going to do that after I take the backing off. And if there's any tape overhang, make sure you wrap it around so it doesn't hang off the edge. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to fill in with some glue. That might give you a little bit of wiggle room if you need it, if you don't line it up quite right the first time. Again, it's not right up against that chipboard. So you're going to lay this down up against the chipboard. Like so. And then you're going to push down, turn it over, and burnish. And you do the other side exactly the same way. So we'll put adhesive here, and we will lay the other piece on top of it, just like we did this one. Now I like to let it sit and dry before I start folding it and bending it. So we'll go ahead and I'll do the next piece, and then we will start looking at, we got to cover our spine. And then like I said, I'm designing as I go, so there's nothing, and it's not going to be a challenging book. It's going to be something easy but yet user-friendly and something that you would actually use in the kitchen, because that's going to hold recipes. All right, stay tuned. Okay, if I did not mention it before, you probably want to have a notebook handy and write down measurements. Normally I have sticky notes on everything. Like I said, this is a little bit different video. I'm just trying to get my mojo back, so I'll probably just kind of announce what the measurements are as I go. So one thing, when you are covering your spine, I used to just put strips of score tape. I think it's really important that you completely cover the back of your paper when you lay that down, because you don't want this to ripple. And I've had it where that does happen. If you're not doing full sheets on your paper of adhesive, make sure you put tape on either side of the chipboard, and I'd also put some at the top and the bottom. Fill this in as much as you can. I don't really use wet glue, except I'm going to do it here because I did not have full coverage. I have some spaces in between my score paper here, my score tape. All right, so if your book is 5 inches tall, go 4 7/8 inches tall for the piece to cover your spine. I always go 1/8 of an inch smaller. If this measured, remember the paper itself was 5 1/2, you want to cover these wings so that it lays flat. So I went 6 inches. So this paper is 6 by 4 7/8. And you want to line it up and center it. Look at the top and the bottom to make sure you have the same amount of space, and then you burnish it on real well. And I also let this kind of sit for a little bit just to make sure it's adhered real well. I burnish like crazy. Just kind of lifting the cover just a little bit so I can see where that chipboard is, so I can make sure that that adhesive stays in there. If you are not using artisan cardstock, be very careful when you are burnishing because it does not have the strength that this does. Okay, just making sure that that adhesive sticks down in there. All right, so I'm just going to kind of leave this for a little bit. And put that off to the side. We need to make the, what do you call it? The hinges. So I have to do the math. I have to think. So if I want 1/2 inch on each side, and this is 2.5, that makes 1.5. So 1.5, I would need, I might only be able to do 3 pages. Let's see. Let me do the math and I'll be right back. Math is done. Okay, cut a piece of paper that's 5.5 by 4 3/4. I like my pages about 1/4 of an inch shorter than the height of the book. So the way I do it, I'm going to have you put the 5.5 inches across the top and then just score at every 1/2 inch. So you're going to start at half, then 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5. Okay, so then you take the first 2 pieces and that becomes your first hinge. So at that first score mark at 1/2 inch, you're going to make that a mountain like so. You're going to end up gluing rectangle 1 and 2 together. Okay. Then you're going to have the next 1/2 inch is going to be empty. Then you're going to take the next 2, which is rectangles 4 and 5, and you're going to pinch those together, and that's going to become a mountain. So that's what we would have so far is 2 hinges. Then you're going to leave the next 1/2 inch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is empty. Take 7 and 8, the 7th and 8th rectangle. You're going to pinch those together. The next one is a gusset, and then the last 2 rectangles you're going to glue together, and that's how we're going to get 4 hinges. Okay, so we don't have wings on the side. We'll just glue it into our book like so. So I'm going to go ahead and start gluing. I am going to go ahead and use the art glitter glue. And if you have any seepage, go ahead and clean that up with the dry wet wipe. So I'm just going to go ahead and burnish that and make sure that it's stuck. Make sure the ends are sealed real well. Okay, looks good. So remember the next one was our gusset, so I'm going to go to the next one, next hinge, and glue that together. I may put a little bit more glue on than I need, but I would rather it be that way than not enough. So I'm going to pinch it together, smooth it out, and then I'll lay it down, and then I'll burnish that too. Okay. So the next one is the gusset, so then we skip that one and put glue in the next. And I pinch it together, smooth it out, and I'm going to lay it down, and I'm going to burnish that one too. And then finally we have our last one. Pinch, smooth out, and go ahead and burnish it. Now if you have any excess paper, like when you did the end, if you have some that maybe hangs over a little bit, you can slightly trim that. Mine seems to work out okay, so I don't need to do any trimming. So then I just take some time and kind of run my hands back and forth on the hinges and lay it down on each side once or twice on each side so that the pages will be able to bend or turn nicely. All right. Now the next thing is to decide on your book, do you want pattern paper laid down first so that you see the pattern paper on either side here, and then you'd see a little bit at the top and just a little bit at the bottom, not much. Or you can leave it black, or you can just put paper in the gussets if you want. I think I am going to go ahead and lay down a piece of paper first. I do like this paper an awful lot, so I want to see as much of it as possible. I happen to have a scrap of this because I was working on something. Let me cut off this. I'll show you what I'm working on. It's not done, so it doesn't look as good right now, but I'll show you. So I want this to be something I can stand up on an easel in my kitchen. So I took off it was like a canvasy burlap stuff. I took that off and used metal. I put a Scrabble tile and glued that down, put some flowers around the edge, fussy cut. I still need to put a bunch of ribbon or bows up here at the top, so that's why it doesn't look very good yet. And then, like I said, I'll just set it in the easel. So I want this book to match. So I got to finish that still. I got to go buy some ribbon. Can you believe it? I don't have enough ribbon. Whoa, I don't have the right colors. Okay, so I think I'll go with the yellow, and I want it to be 4 7/8 inches tall. And let's see if I want 2.5, or do I need to shorten it a little bit? I will go 2 3/8. So 2 3/8 by 4 7/8. Two and 3/8 by 4 7/8. Sorry, I'm not thinking. Oh my gosh. Oh. Okay, be patient, I'm coming. Okay, finally. All right, so we're going to lay that down. I ink everything, so I'm going to go ahead and ink that before I lay it down. I'm going to use black to ink so that it blends in with the paper. And I'll just lightly go around the edges. I think it's time for me. I think I need another black distress ink or oxide, whichever one, I don't care which. I don't notice that much of a difference. All right. And then that looks good. I'll go ahead and glue that down first. Now you can still put the paper in between on the gussets if you want. I don't think you're going to notice it that much because when you turn the pages, well, maybe. We'll just have to play it by ear. I don't know. I might put paper in between on my 1/2 inch gussets. I might not. It'll be a surprise. Okay. Looks good, and burnish. Okay, so then you take your hinge and we're going to put adhesive on the back, and then we're going to center it like so. Okay, so if you want to go through and put paper there, I'm going to wait till the end to make sure it's needed. I don't know that it is. So I'm going to go ahead and put a generous amount of glue on my hinge, a generous amount, because that is something you do not want to come undone. So I try and fully cover. If you want to use score tape, go for it. I used to use score tape. That should do her. I don't think she's going anywhere. Okay, so center it. Look at the left and the right, the top and the bottom. My head's probably in the camera, so I apologize. I need to move that over a hair. Okay, once you're happy, burnish it down. So that she's good and stuck. Making sure that, especially the top and the bottom, I like to make sure that those are really laying down. Okay, I might not have done it as evenly as I should have. Close, but not exactly. Yeah, it's not 100% even, but you will never know once you get your pages on. All right, fabulous. We're off to a great start. Now, where do I go from here? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start making the pages that we're going to put onto the hinges. Those pages need to be 4 3/4 inches. I'm going to start bending this. 4 3/4 by, let's go, we can do 6 1/2. We can do 6 3/4. I think I'm going to go 6 3/4, maybe. What do I want to do? I think I'll do 6 3/4. All right, let me get my paper ready and then I'll give you the measurements. The pages I decided to go with are, I am going to have you do 4 that measure 5 3/4 by 6 3/4 and 4 that measure 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. Okay, I ended up putting it on a sticky note for you. So the ones that are 4 3/4 by 6 3/4 do nothing with, leave them that way. The ones that measure 5 3/4 by 6 3/4, place your 5 3/4 inches across the top of your scoreboard. You're going to score it 1/2, rotate it, and do a half. Okay, so do that on all the 5 3/4 inch pieces. So you can adhere this 4 3/4 piece, oops, wrong one. You can do this and glue it together first if you want to, and then slide them on, but I'm not going to do that because sometimes I can't get them to slide right. So what I do is I'm going to go ahead and place this on the hinge first, and I'm going to lay it down and make sure that it is even, and that looks pretty good. And I'm just going to lift this up. I'm going to put glue right here. Come on, glue. I gotta make sure it's lined up again. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put glue here, and I'm going to bring that over, and I need a wet wipe. And then I'm going to lift this one up and put glue just on the corner. And get rid of the excess. And now I will take this piece and glue it on top, and we want to make sure, I want to make sure that I line up the ends real well. Okay, and then you're just going to put glue on the 1/2 inch and the 1/2 inch. You know what, it might be easier if you do glue 1/2 inch at a time. That's what I'm going to recommend. And always make sure you're getting those lined up. You might have to do some light trimming. Mine look okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and adhere all my pages. Like I said, I'll do one for you. I'm going to put glue on this 1/2 inch. Okay. And I really want to make sure I line it up at the end. Fabulous. Burnish it. I'm going to turn my book upside down so it's easier. And I want to make sure, yep, they're lined up. For some reason, this page is just a hair shorter. I must not have cut exactly perfect, but once I get my pattern paper on, no biggies. So now I'm putting glue on the other 1/2 inch strip. And I'm just going to lay that puppy down. I'm going to get my cloth, my wet wipe. And it should dry clear, but sometimes on the black you can see it a little bit. Now, you don't have to glue this down, but if that bothers you, you can put a little glue in there. So if I lay these down, next time probably I should. I'll just put a little glue at the end just to kind of seal that. I should have done it before I glued it down probably. But there's always a fix, and it's fine. All right, I do want to bend it the other way. And poof, lays down flat, people. So I'm going to do the same thing with the other 3 hinges, okay? And you should do the same thing. Okay, so I thought I'd better tell you, you do need to put glue on the bottom part on both the front and the back. So once you adhere your page, I went ahead, well, I'll just do one. Okay, so I'm going to adhere my page. I want to make sure it's lined up with the other one, so I kind of adjust. Okay, so I'm going to lift this up like I did before. And I'm going to push it down so that it's adhered, and I'll get rid of that excess. Okay, and so then I will lift this one and press that down. So I am ending up putting glue on both of the 1/2 inch pieces and the bottom. So let me make sure that this lines up before I put any glue on. And it does. So I went ahead and put glue here, here, and here. Okay, then I turned it. I'm going to lift it up. I'm going to make sure that it goes to the end, and then I'm going to press down. Like so. It does get a little messy here, but it will be fine once it dries. now I turn this page over and I'm going to put glue inside here so it sticks to the hinge and is sealed. I think I forgot to tell you that on the other one. All right, that's the best way to do it. And look at how nice these pages lay down flat. Oh, beautimous. All right, I just have one more to do. Okay, remember I told you everything was going to be the same because I'm going to make it easy. So here are these will be the fronts of the pages. So you'll need 4 that measure 5 by 6 3/4 and 4 that measure 5 1/4 by 6 3/4. Notice it says a hair shorter. You do not want it a full 6 3/4 because then when you open and close the page, it could get bunched up over here. So when I say a hair shorter, I took a 1/16 of an inch off. You might want to take an 1/8 of an inch off. It's totally up to you. So, but don't do it exactly 6 3/4. On all of them, you're going to do a 1/2 inch score because it's going to be a flap up and a flap down. So on the one that's 5 inches across, put your 5 inches across the top, score at a 1/2. The ones that are, where do they go? The ones that are 5 1/4 by 6 3/4, but you know it's not really 6 3/4, it's a 1/16 of an inch shorter. Put the 5 1/4 inch at the top, score at a 1/2. So these are going to be flap up and flap down because remember my recipe cards are 4 by 6. So 6, yep, they'll go in there fine. So the shorter piece goes on the bottom and the longer piece on the top. So you're going to glue the 5 inch one at the bottom, line it up on the outside edge, not the inside edge. So you can see I have just a little bit, well, maybe you can't. Because I went a hair shorter, it does not go all the way to the bottom. There's a little bit of a gap there so that it won't get crinkled. So I'm going to glue the bottom one down and then I'll glue a top one down. And the top one again we'll put at the very end of the page on the right. So I'm starting on the back page. I'm going to go ahead and put glue on my 1/2 inch. Now I will be honest, I cut mine wrong, so I don't have a 1/2 inch on the bottom piece. I only have 3/8 of an inch, but whatever. I told you the right measurements. So line it up on the bottom and on this side. Come on. Okay. That glue will get covered with pattern paper if it's showing. So I just want to burnish that on. Okay, and now I'm going to turn my book upside down so it's easier. This one I did cut correctly, and we're going to put this one at the top and again all the way to the outside edge. So I'm going to go ahead and open this flap so it's out of the way. I'm going to place glue all the way to the edge and the top. So this piece, when it goes in, does not go all the way to the top because you don't want this piece to buckle it. And then this comes down like so. Now I also didn't have, it's not all, I have a tiny little bit of space. That's okay. I don't want things to get like bent. So we have this and this, the front of all the pages. Now I want to put a piece of acetate on this page so that I can see a recipe card and use it and not have it get dirty. So my plan is to put acetate here. That's my plan. When I open this, I want to be able to hold one recipe card. So I think I'm going to put a corner to hold it, a recipe card. I'll put a triangular corner here. This one I'll probably put a belly band so it can hold recipe cards. When I've opened this, I'll put a triangular corner on this side, and this will be a pocket to hold cards. And that's all, that's what all the pages are going to be like on the front. So let me finish putting these on, and then I'll give you the measurements for the next, the ones that I just explained. This is what I decided to do. Right now there's nothing. I'll probably put acetate like I said. I decided to put 2 corner pieces so that the card can fit in. I was just going to do one, but I did 2. Here's that belly band. This comes down. I put 2 down here, 2 angles, pockets also, and then a pocket here. So I'm trying to make it as user-friendly as possible, and I've already done 3 pages. So the last page, let me give you the measurements. So I did 4 at 1.5 by 5 3/4. That is for your belly band. 5, yeah, that's right. 4 at 7 5/8 by 2.5. That's for your pocket. And 8 that are 3.5 by 3.5. That's for your angled pockets. Okay. So I have my measurements, or my papers already cut. Let me show you what you need to do. So as far as scoring, well, actually let me cut the 3.5 first. Hopefully you can see this. So the 3.5 by 3.5 pieces you're going to put diagonally in your cutter, and you're going to go from corner to opposite corner so that you have 2 triangles when you're done cutting. And oh, I did it backwards. Swipe. I'm gonna have to do that one more time. Corner to corner, opposite corners, diagonal to form 2 triangles. Voila. So scoring all these little triangles, you're going to score at half and half. So half, turn it the other direction, and half. Okay, I'm going to do that to all 4. Oops. I'm going to have to shape that. Half, turn it once, half, half, turn it once, half. Okay, belly band, have the long way up across the top, score it 1/2 inch on each end. This will be a pocket, so start with the 7 5/8 across the top, score it 1/2, rotate it once, score it 1/2, rotate it one more time, and at 1/2. Okay, so now let's go ahead and prepare. The squares in the corner get cut off at an angle on the pocket, and then miter the top like so. These get no cutting, and then these, so let's go ahead and cut off the square at the bottom at an angle, and then when you burnish these, you're going to notice that there is extra, so just take your scissors and cut that off. And then as you burnish the other side, you're going to have to do the same thing. That excess, just trim off like so. And you're going to do that to all of your triangles. So again, cut off the square at an angle, burnish the sides, and use that line as a guide to cut off that excess. Like so. Okay, so do that to all of your pieces. So you know how I said to watch this all the way through first? If I were to do this again, I would have put a little gusset at the top. I would have made this about 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch longer, the top flap, so that it wasn't as, it just needs a little bit of space, but I didn't know what I was going to do, so you may find that you want to do that also. So I'm going to go to the last page. Remember, nothing on the front, so let's go ahead and open up the top and the bottom. I'm going to do the top first. I'm going to turn it upside down, and I'm just going to glue one side of my angled pocket first so that I can get it lined up. So I want to line it up. I don't want to go over the score line, and I want it to line up on the very far edge. And about like that. So I'm going to flip that open and just make sure it's burnished. And then I'm going to put the glue on this 1/2 inch side. And it should line up just the way I want it. Now you might have to kind of like hold your book up on end and burnish that. That's one of the downfalls of putting the pages in before you have all your features added. Sometimes it's a little bit more awkward. So then I'll do that to the other side. I'm just going to put glue on one side first. I'm a messy gluer. Don't go over the score line, and make sure it lines up on the bottom and the side. And then I'm going to lift that up and kind of push that down so it doesn't go anywhere, and then put the glue on the other side. I'm going to lift my book up and burnish that down. Okay. So there's that. Now, when this is closed, when the bottom is up, you can measure if you want to, but I'm not going to. With your belly band, I'm going to burnish those ends. But I'm going to use this as my guide to center it. So I just want to make sure that it's in between those two. But if you want to measure, you go right ahead. Okay. Burnish that down. That glue will dry clear. Then you open it. We can do the other corners by gluing the bottom. Actually, I'm going to do both sides. I'm a pro now. If I wasn't so messy with the glue, I wouldn't have an issue, but okay, so then I'm going to line it up at the bottom and the side. This one's just easier because it's on the bottom flap. That top one was a little bit more obnoxious. sticky. Okay, and then the other corner, same way. I need more glue. My hands get all messy, gluey. I don't know if I'm the only one that happens to, but ugh. I don't know how people can do it neatly. I try, but I don't like getting my hands dirty. All right. Even when I use a dry thing, a dry wet wipe, I still get my hands all filthy. Okay, so the bottom's done, and now we just need the pocket that goes here. Now I cut it a little bit shorter so that when the flap is closed, you don't see it hanging off the end. So I haven't burnished these yet, so let me do that. All right, so remember we put everything lined up at this end, so we're going to do that again so that when this is closed we don't see the pocket hanging out on this side. But I did make it a little bit shorter. Glue on all three sides. Okay, and here we go. Don't go over the score. Lift it up a little bit so that our bottom flap goes up and over it fine. All right, so all of our fronts are done. Now the backs I'm going to make easy because I want a one-day project. I want to be able to get this finished, and I want it to be user-friendly, remember. So to me, it's not laying this flat now because there's so much bulk on the front, but I think I just want an envelope that I can stuff cards into. So I think I'm going to have it, the flap will be on the top, on the left, and then I'll make this the pocket back here. Rather than have it open to the top, I'm going to have it open out. Okay, so let me get my measurements and I will then show you how I did the pocket. Now I'm trying to decide, I don't know yet, if I put a piece of acetate on here, do I need a magnet to keep this down? And if I do, I would put the magnet on here and on the belly band before I do any pattern paper. But I think I might want to. I mean, with the paper it might be heavy enough to keep it down. I don't know, we'll find out. All right, so let me do the back pockets and I'll show you. Okay, we're going to wrap up the back of the book. So you're going to need 4 that measure, or the back pages I mean, 4 that measure 5 3/4 by 10. And I will show you how to score these. What do I want to do? Okay, so put the 10 inches across the top, score at 1/2, and at 6, turn it, score at 1/2, and 1/2 on each of the short sides. So with the shorter side at the top, 1/2 on each end. Okay. While I'm at it, I'm going to do a front and a back pocket. So I did mine at 4.5 by 8. So then I went ahead and I have a border punch. I'm going to use it again in just a second, but this is what I used across the top. So on the short side, do 1/2, and then on the long sides, do 1/2, and I'm just going to scoot this over and do it at 11.5. Okay, so these are for the front and back pockets on the cover. So I'm going to angle this and angle angle this, and I'm going to cut at an angle, and then I have to cut down so that the pattern, I don't like that, I'm going to just trim that. Okay, so I cut down on the score until the decoration's done, and then at an angle like so. So you'll do 2 of those, and that is for the front and back cover. Now for this piece, I'm going to go ahead and do a decorative border on this too. So I'm going to do, this is the 1/2 inch down here. I'm going to do the punch up at the top. So let me do that real quick. Be patient. Let me see here. I gotta line it up. Come on. And one more thing to line up. Okay. All right, so then I did it on this one too. And I'm going to go ahead and angle and cut down on the score. Cut down on the score mark and angle. So this one you do a little bit differently. All right, so on the end that we did the 1/2 inch, I'm going to miter it by cutting at an angle. Now at that 6 inch mark that we did, where that score is, I'm going to cut a triangle out, so I'm going to angle in on each side of that score line, like so. And on the other side also. Okay. So this one gets folded a little bit differently. So I'm going to fold on the 1/2 inch, and I'm going to burnish, if I can find, there it is. And then we fold these, burnish these back, not the top ones, the bottom ones that are longer. Okay, so this is what's going to be attached to the book like this, but I need to fold this back the opposite direction. So it's like a double pocket. Okay, and then these are going to get tucked now behind. So I burnish those the opposite direction of what I did the bottom ones. And then we're going to glue it down. Oop, that's hanging off too much. Okay, so I'm going to put glue on these 2 sides. Okay, and I will fold that down. So now we need to put it in our book. So I'll do the first page. So the 1/2 inch score goes towards the inside, and you don't want to glue it all the way down to the bottom. Give yourself a little bit of space. Okay, so then you will have a pocket here, and then something can go in this way. So let's go ahead and put our glue on. We're going to do 4 of these. I'm going to turn my book this direction so it's easier. And I'm going to go ahead and go almost to the bottom, but not quite all the way. Make sure it lines up on the sides. And so then again, you will have a pocket here, and you can put something here. So I already did the front pocket. I'm going to go ahead and do this back one. So we have already scored. I just need to burnish. And then we're going to glue this down, and we want to go make sure it lines up with the outside, not the inside. So make sure it lines up over here on the edge of the cover. We don't want anything to get in the way of closing our book. Okay, and down at the bottom, line up with the outside edge. And voila, that is our book. Okay, the only thing is the front, and that is if I can find acetate. If I can't, I don't know what I'm going to do. I still don't know if I should put a magnet here. All right, I'm almost done. I got to decide what to do if I can find acetate so that I can work with the recipe without getting it in the way or getting it dirty. So that's the only thing I have to decide. Well, that acetate and then the magnet. Okay, here is what my front page is going to look like. There's some staticky stuff in there, but I wanted it so that I could stick a index card down here. So my measurements were, and you might have to adjust a little bit, the acetate was 4.5 by 6.5, and then the paper is 7 5/8 by 5 1/4. And what I did, and if you have an easier way, you go right ahead. This is all the way I thought to do it. So with the 7 5/8 across the top, half, move it once, half, and half. Now I wanted, what is this, 3/4? Yep. So now I did half, one. I also then went to 1 1/4 and scored on those three sides. 1 1/4, 1 1/4. Now, I just used my scissors, but I'm going to cut out the inside here, that rectangle. Just go to the first score line. Now this is what was easiest for me. Yes, there's going to be a score there that you don't need, but you're going to cover it with paper, so people won't even know that it's there. You can definitely use your trimmer for this. I don't cut very straight, so I probably should have. And okay, so I cut out that rectangle. Now on that 1/2 inch, I'm going to miter, 1/2 inch miter. You want to cut this at an angle to get that little square in the very corner. This one, you just want this square out, so you're going to cut that at an angle. So then go ahead and burnish your 1/2 inch marks. Okay, so that will be the frame, and then I opened it up and used 1/2 inch score tape right around, oh, where's my score tape? Right around the edge here so that the acetate will stick nicely right up against the edge. Okay. My acetate is cut. Where is it? There it is. I just use overhead transparency because I had some from school. And we are going to, this might be a little bit too big. I'm going to trim it just a hair. There, now it's closer to 6. Okay, so let me move that off to the side. Let's take off the backing. And again, you might have to adjust a little bit. Like mine was a little bit too tall and I had to trim the first, I did one already, and I had to trim the top a little bit. Okay, so you want to make sure the acetate goes to the very top here. So I'm going to place that first. And then just lay it down. There you go. And then you will adhere that to the front of the page. So it'll go to the bottom, and like I said, you might have to adjust. Okay, and then that's that. This is the finished book. The cover says dinner time. This is actually a metal piece that I had. They were on clearance at Joann's and they had that one. Let me show you. This was from the summer stuff though, so I don't know I don't think they would still have it. Sorry about that noise. And so they also had the mitt and like barbecue tools, but I thought the apron looked the best. These are the thickers, and I did raise this on foam dots. I have a little bow here with some thread behind it. Didn't do anything here. I might add the word recipes or something, I don't know. And then I left the back plain, but I did mat this with red first, then the pattern paper. So the pocket, I just put 2 of the cut aparts and I did put them on red. And then all the pages have something on the frame in the corner. It could have been to hide a mistake, or it could have been just for decoration. But the acetate, you can stick a recipe card in there. Again, I would have added, now that I have my book done, I would have added a 1/4 of an inch gusset for this top flap. So it would, I mean, it lays okay, but I think it would have looked nicer with a 1/4 of an inch. And then I just stuck a mat here underneath the belly band and the bottom pocket. So I didn't put anything in here because I'm assuming I would put recipe cards. And then on the back, they have this pocket on the side here, and I just put cut aparts. And then these have a little bit deeper pocket, and I just put a mat. So all of them are the same way. So I'll just show you how the different paper looks. It's such cute paper. And I did use some of the cut apart, not you know, the little ephemera pieces, cut out those. And my book ended up not laying as flat as it normally does, so I don't know what I did differently, but... And this one, I like that paper. Look at that cow, it's so cute. And the back of that one, and the final, the 4th page, there's your little Wilbur. This is just the check, not the check, the like plaid. And then the birdhouse. Last page, and the pocket on the back. So that is my Break Your Slump book. I hope that the directions were clear enough, and if you have any questions, let me know. But this is called Sweet Southern Mess, and it really is nice paper to work with. All right, you guys have a great day.